Good evening, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talks College Football Huddle. How's everybody doing tonight? We're just off a really raucous hour on the professional sports hour, whatever we call that damn show these days. Oh, great to have everybody watching us tonight on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you might be. Thanks to all the groups that allowed me to share these shows, all my shows, including this college football show. A lot of college groups out there that eat this show up. We appreciate that, including, and most importantly, you guys who come into the studio and contribute and help this show move along. So we're just me, it would be click. Thanks to the group specifically, you see scrolling at the bottom, some of our favorites. John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, Flo and the Gang at Bottom Line Sports, Let's Talk Sports, Ken Krause and the group at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Check out Ralph's stuff, including the Sports Corner that he does every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Been a guest there a few times. He does that show at Smoking Jim Frazier, and we've been a guest and have always enjoyed ourselves. I'm looking at myself on Facebook, and my face is redder than red. I don't know why. When I'm looking at it here, it doesn't look so red, but it does on Facebook. If I turn it that way. Anyway, lots to talk about. This is a wacky and wild college football season, right? I mean, takeaways from last week. Oh, gosh. We got some big movements in the poll. I got one specific one that came up, and I didn't even think about it, actually, until we were talking about it on the Unprofessional show just a minute ago. But a huge win for Bama beating Georgia last week, getting themselves back into the top 10, moving Georgia Tech out. Mississippi, Ole Miss, I should say, beats LSU. And they move up to 4. LSU drops out of the like the 13 or 14. I mean, I understand if you're telling me Mississippi isn't that good and you drop them, a dozen slots, what'd they drop? Hang on a second. Let me get this target here. Yeah, they dropped 9 spots. Now, I get it. Florida State dropped 10 spots, but they lost to Virginia. If you're telling me that Ole Miss is now number 4 in the country and moved up 9 spots, how do you drop LSU 9 spots? Right? I mean, you're telling me that Mississippi is not a bad loss for Georgia. I'm sorry, for LSU. Right? Penn State dropped 4 spots when they lost to Oregon. It's about right. I think it's I thought it was a strange move. Vandy with a big win. Pavia gets 6 touchdowns last week. They get at Alabama. They beat Alabama at home last year. Don't forget, Danny. I know Danny thinks that Alabama will cover the big spread in this game. We'll talk more about that. What else happened last week that we're interested in? Let me see who's here first before we go much further and fall too far behind in comments, because we got a bunch of people here, right? There's Danny Fuller, made the quick jump. How are you, my friend? Michael Dighton Edwards, how are you? Check out Michael's writings on TGI Sports Talking and my personal page and some of the groups that I share it to. Getting great reception, Michael. I think the last 2 articles had close to 15. It was around 13 or 1,400 people, I think, look at those. So hopefully they read the whole thing, but they did look at the post to a place I shared it or on TGI Sports Talk. So that's good. Good job. Great writing. Would you like to be in there? I ran out of space, Danny. I can put you in there if you'd like. It's just the groups. For instance, John Gonzalez has been supporting the show since its inception in 2020. One of the first guys that allowed me to share my show to his group, and that's why he gets a special shout out. Greg Rawlings, who I don't mention on this show, is another one with his baseball and football He's got a football group. I should probably thank him. I don't know if I shared his group, though. But he got a great baseball group. Let's Talk Sports. We'd had a long relationship with when the late Dan Harris had started that up. Dan out of the UK. Dan was a remarkable story. And if I haven't told you guys, I won't waste your guys' time with it tonight. Not that it's a waste of time, but Dan is very near and dear to my heart. He passed away 2 years ago, I think now, and right around now. He was a homebound, handicapped, a challenged person. Took care of his family, who were all challenged in one way or another. And God, I don't know what's happened to his family, and I wish I did, but I haven't been able to find out. But he did a great job putting together the Let's Talk Sports Network, and I did a lot of broadcasting with him and had a lot of fun. And we miss Dan, and we always give him a thumbs up on the show. So if you hear thumbs up DDH, that's for Dan. Dave Harris. Great guy. Hello, Samuel Dean. How are you, my friend? Go Vols. Nice win at Mississippi State. Mississippi State, one of the most improved teams in the country, I think. Good win for the Vols to go into Starksville and win that game last week. Mississippi State's got an interesting game against A&M this week on the road. And the team formerly known as the Indians have tied up the Tigers today, as we heard a lot of on the unprofessional sports show. Yankees are 2-2 right now with Boston, by the way, in an elimination game set up. But we are going to talk about this because it's not a baseball show, but set up by Aaron Boone. We'll probably have lots to talk about in the MLB update if this goes badly tonight or tomorrow. Hello, Paul Spada. Sorry about that. Paul Spada. Your Oregon's number 2. You got to be happy. You got, 6 wasn't enough respect for you. At number 2, you got to have respect. I know you posted they should be 1 in the group. Now, I hope to God you were joking. AC, how are you, my friend? Sports innovators, for sure. A lot of good guys. There's Chris F. Grave, our Canadian correspondent. What's he got to say here? Happy birthday, Jimmy Baxter. I would have been 65 in a few months if I'd lived to today. Jimmy Baxter is 134 today, or would have been. Product of Kenyon College. Jimmy played the position of B in the NFL for 5 games. What the heck is B? Did you leave a letter out, or did we lose a position? Kenyon College also produced Herb Stock. Any more news on Kenyon College? You got me with that one, my friend. Well, now I got to look. Is it in the U.S. or is it in Canada? How's he get me to do this, Danny? What do we got? Kenyon College. Is it in Kenya? What is Kenyon College best known for? For its strong focus on writing, critical thinking, and liberal arts education. Yikes. They produce Nobel laureates, Pulitzer Prize winners, Paul Newman. I'm cheating. I looked it all up. There's Ed in Columbus. How are you, my friend? I'll say this great, but I'm having a shitty night. Colonoscopy trip. Get tested and God bless. Yes, get tested. Always get tested, guys. A lot of you guys are at an age or past an age where you should be if you haven't been. I've been getting tested because of family issues since I'm 40. Every 5 years. First it was 3 years, and then it went to, I get it every 5 years now, and I'm due next spring. So good luck, Ed. The prep is the worst part. The rest of it, you don't feel anything. They don't buy you dinner or anything, though, but you'd think they would. How are you, Samuel, by the way? Volunteers? Paul Spada's still a homer. Well, he's not literally a homer. Danny does a great job at sports innovators. What's innovators? I got you. What I'm going to do is probably put up a second scroll and then swap it during the course of the show. The American Conference is going to be entertaining football. Hello, Alan, by the way, to watch this year. 5 teams with no losses that compete for that conference. Listen, Tulane, Navy. I'll see if I can name what I'm looking at the conference. I'll look at the conference in a second. Tulane, Navy, South Florida is still alive. Memphis. Who's the other one? I got to look. I know I got 4 of them. If you're going to say Southeast Carolina, I don't think so. Who's your other one? Oh, North Texas, maybe? Maybe. I'm rooting for Navy. I'm a little worried about your Oklahoma Sooners, by the way, Alan. I'm telling you, if you read the tea leaves, if you read between the lines, I think John Mateer is going to be out longer than you think. And your backup quarterback, his name's escaping me at the moment, underwhelmed in limited opportunities. But John Gonzalez, speaking of sports authorities, there's the number 1 admin in all of Facebook, John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. John has been a huge backer of this show since the beginning, as I said, when Danny was asking some questions. And we love John, even though when we disagree on, a handful of topics here and there. I think we agree on the Canes. We agree on Aaron Boone is a moron. That's what's really important. John Gonzalez, GQ John Gonzalez, the man, the legend. It's not that kind of test, AC. Wait, I mean, do we have to do a test to see what's up there? I'm sorry, AC. I got to nip this. But miss Dan every day. Yeah, Alan. And check out Alan's stuff. Alan has come so far since. Gosh, Alan, when did you start following this show? Not too, but maybe it was in 2020. If it wasn't, it was early 2021. And Alan's come a long way, doing a lot of his own shows. And I know Dan was instrumental. Dan Harris again was instrumental in getting Alan started, and geez, with equipment and confidence and everything you can think of. There was nobody I've ever met like Dan Harris in my life, quite frankly. You guys are all wonderful. I love you all. I've never quite met an individual as altruistic as Dan Harris. Amazing. Danny UCLA Fuller. I don't know if he'd want that now. Innovators. Definitely hard times at UCLA. 0-4, not playing well at all. Bad loss at Northwestern. Danny Sports Authorities group legend. Nuke Rockney still greatly appreciated throughout the Notre Dame community. I think Chris has stepped into the time machine again. Nuke Rockney is a great coach. I mean, listen, Notre Dame's had a lot of great coaches. Nuke Rockney, not the least of them. I mean, I think of Notre Dame, I think of Nuke Rockney, I think of Frank Leahy, I think of Ara Parseghian. I think of Gary. No, I don't. I think of Lou Holtz. I think it sucks that it's been it's been over 40 years since, almost 40 years, since Notre Dame's won a national championship. That's shocking. And that's not good for the sport. Not in my mind. Hawkins better all line around him, healthy wide receiver room plus top 10 defense. We'll be fine. I like your optimism, Alan, but let me just give you a couple of I'm not so sure's. By the way, I was looking at the FCS poll earlier, by the way. There's a great article. I don't know if you guys get Sports Illustrated. I still do. The magazine has gotten better since it went to a monthly publication. And there's a great article in there about the FCS, the new realities of the FCS with the NIL and all this other stuff. So check that out if you get Sports Illustrated. Oklahoma. Here's the problem. You get Kent State, which you'll probably win by 100. But then you got Texas at home. You're at South Carolina. And South Carolina may have underperformed up until now, but you still got one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. You got a really good coach. You're going to a very hostile place to play. You got Ole Miss who's coming in. Maybe they're doing it with smoke and mirrors. I don't know. That's not an easy game. You got to go to Tennessee. You got to go to Alabama. You got Missouri coming in, and you got LSU. That's as tough as anybody in the conference. Florida's probably the same boat, but Florida doesn't have any playoff aspirations. You can't lose you can't lose 3 of these games. I mean, if I had to look right, and you got Auburn. I'm sorry, you already played Auburn. What are you talking about? I personally think you're going to lose to Texas because you're not going to have Mateer back for Texas. We know that. And if he's not back for South Carolina, you're going to lose at South Carolina. You better hope he's back for Ole Miss. And you better get a running game. I want Oklahoma to be good. As we talked about last week, I talked about these historical programs that football's better when they're good, and Oklahoma's one of those. I may have left them out in my original comments. Right. I hope you're celibate for a long time between, actually, AC. You did make me laugh. I think Richard Gere used to get the same thing. Never mind. The modern day Dick Enberg. Thank you for that. That's high praise, let me tell you. Dick Enberg was one of my favorites. When you're as old as me, your favorites are all dead. And Dick Enberg was one of my favorites. High praise. What was the show, John? What was a game show? Well, game show. It wasn't really a game show. But old retired athletes would compete against each other, right? The old Brooklyn Dodgers against the Yankees, right? You see Malin, Ford, and Tommy Hendrick. What was the name of that? And he'd show sports highlights. What the hell was the name of that show? That was a great show. That was when I was a kid. Well, John, Alan, again, you say that. And I'm not buying the reports because when I listen to the coaches, I don't hear the coaches with any confidence at all. They're ambiguous enough to make me think, because I have not heard Brent Venables say anything except he'll be back this year. Well, I'll be back this year too. I hope he's back. He's a great talent. I don't want to see him sit out. I just have this sneaky feeling there's more to this than what's being let out. Just saying. And I hope for your case they are, because I want to see them go play all these teams at full strength, because I like college football. I don't root for teams to fail. I just try to be realistic, including my teams. And my team will have a tough game up in Tallahassee this week. We'll talk about some of that in a minute. Is there a state that doesn't have an NFL team but has a good regional college football team? Idaho, Boise State, Oklahoma would be actually the first one I would think of would be Oklahoma. Right? Oregon. Just a bunch. Not just good regional college football, but national. So Utah, Utah doesn't have a professional team, right, Janae Ricks? I got BYU. BYU's on my. Are they on my list here of? They didn't make my list of big games this week, Janae. Who are they playing? I didn't jot them down. BYU now. What are they? 23rd in the country, playing really good football. Janae is a season ticket holder there. I'm going to give her a shout out. Hope you're doing well. Have you, what we talked about, did that come to fruition, Janae? Really feel bad about that. I really do. Who's BYU got? I'm going to give you BYU's record because we do that on this show, Janae. As soon as I get something I got to go through, like I just did for Allen. Let's see what BYU's going to go. They got West Virginia this week. That's a win. West Virginia is no good. BYU's really good at home. You got at Arizona, who's not very good. Utah in the Holy War. You're playing on the road. Utah's going to have a fighter's chance. You should probably win that game, though. I'm not impressed with the Utah quarterback. After watching Texas Tech just dismantle that offense, Iowa State will be tough. At Texas Tech will be tough. TCU's better than you think. They should have won that game against who did they play last week? Arizona State. At Cincinnati's a win. UCF's a win. I'm thinking they're going to lose 2 games. They got to lose 2 of Utah, Iowa State, and Texas Tech. I'm just thinking. Good to have you with us, though, Janae. Thank you for popping in. John Gonzalez and Keith Engle agree to disagree on Namath. Listen, I don't know why I'm being thrown under the bus for months now about Joe Namath, who was a great college quarterback, was a great professional quarterback, won the most important game in NFL history. I just made one little, sports challenge. Thank you, John. Love the sports challenge with Dick Enberg. I knew John Gonzalez would come through for me. The job for Hawkins this week is to convince the coaches that they don't need to. Listen, you're not going to find out about Hawkins against Kent State. Kent State might be the second worst team in the country to UMass. They did win a game this year. Last year they went winless. You're not going to find anything out about Hawkins this week. And I'm telling you, don't rush Mateer back. What is he, a junior? I rush him back. Listen, I think you're going to have trouble. I really do. BYU will thump West Virginia. I agree 100%. There you go, Janae. You got a rooter already. His surgeon was the same guy that helped Goff get back after 2 weeks after breaking his hand. Are all broken hands the same, though? I don't know. I hope you're right. You like Nebraska this week? What is the question here? I don't know what we got here. I still like Nebraska. I like Nebraska this week. Did I miss a question somewhere? What are these things getting thrown out for? Oregon. Oh, the states, right. Nebraska, very good. Iowa, Oregon. I said Oregon. Iowa, Nebraska are ones I didn't get. That's good. Utah. Multiple programs are good there. I'm a fan. I almost bet BYU last week, and I'm glad I didn't because they didn't cover. So I was going to message you, Janae. Actually, I'm not sure if that's right about what I asked you or about BYU. Oklahoma, no NFL team there, but the defending NBA champions Thunder up. Alan, that's not the question. Illinois, no true NFL team. Well, They do have a team, Michael. West Virginia. By the way, game day is at Alabama this week for Vanderbilt and Alabama. I'm not sure. I'd really love to know, Danny, because we joke around a lot, but I do appreciate Danny's opinion, and Danny is very good at betting. I'm usually very good at college myself, and I've sucked this year. But what is it that you think Vanderbilt can't go into Alabama, not only not win this game, but not even cover the 10.5? Clark Lee's done a tremendous job there. I'm going to tell you, Pavea, or however we say his name, he's going to sneak up on the Heisman front runners if he continues to play like he is right now. He played great last year. He's a little spark plug. He's no bigger than Doug Flutie. Alabama, another good one. Actually, West Virginia is another good one, but I wouldn't say that's a really good football team. Isn't Marshall in West Virginia too, or no? Where's Marshall? BYU versus West Virginia. McAfee will be all up in his chair rooting for the Mountaineers. I like the Cougars in this game as well. Playing good football, especially the stuff that went on there. Just to touch on BYU for a second, played great football last year. Picked to finish last in the Big 12 last year, and they nearly won the conference. And I thought everything that went on with Retzliff, however, again, I'm probably saying his name again too. I thought there might be a distraction there. When you lose your starting quarterback, it's always bad enough. But, with that kind of tabloid nonsense going on, and it turns out, I don't know whether it turned out, you're closer to the situation than I am, Janae. From where I sit, he left the school only because he broke their morals code of conduct, right? Morals clause, whatever you want to call it. Not because of criminal wrongdoing. But where do you go to get your reputation back? But great job by the coach and the whole coaching staff to keep that team on target. And they're having another very good year. Oops, what do you got here? Michael Dighton Edwards has a great addition to the sports authorities. Yes, Michael, listen, and I'm glad John has allowed me to share Michael's articles that I post on TGI Sports Talk. Michael's a very talented writer and done some great stuff. You can catch his latest article that I put up, I think, Monday. And he's been cranking them out right and left. Great stuff, Michael. Paul Spada. Oregon's number 2. Yes, number 2. Is Keystone Light the beer of the NCAA? Chris, are you into the Keystone Light tonight? I asked Janae too many questions. I don't know which one she's answering now. Thank you, John Gonzalez. From Happy Dollywood. GQ John Gonzalez, totally agree. I can't read all this anymore. It's getting to be like the Sammy Maudlin show here. Anybody know? Again, it's similar to the Sunday morning stream of consciousness. We'll give a little pat on the back and a fake prize to the winner who can tell me what that reference, where that reference is from, the Sammy Maudlin show. You say it's the worst team in college football? Yeah, they beat UMass. They beat Kent State. They're the worst team in a power conference, that's for sure. 100%. Uh, Jay likes something. Danny Fuller. Danny's real favorite team, the Chattanooga State Pecans. Aren't they the Moccasins? Isn't Chattanooga State the Moccasins? Michael's got Billy Napier's next school scaped out for him. How about this, too, before I go on any further? Sam Pittman gets fired from Arkansas this week, right? Not a big surprise. They had to pay out a little more money because I guess his payout would have been less if he had a losing record, and he still was 2 games over 500 total. Look, Sam Pittman did a really good job his first year there. One good year is only going to sustain you for so long. He's gone. But the bigger story here is, how does Bobby Petrino become the interim head coach? Did everybody fall off a motorcycle with a staffer, a young female staffer, and break their heads, or just Bobby Petrino? Was everybody involved in that accident and they're all brain dead down there? How does Bobby Petrino, and Bobby Petrino, by the way, did a really good job at Arkansas coaching the football team. But this is the guy you want leading your young men into life. And he's a serious candidate for the full-time job. He got 2 chances at Louisville after he bolted and went to the Falcons and texted in his resignation, or he texted the team, I guess, and told them he was leaving, the players. Loser. Then, if you don't know the story, when he was at Arizona, he lost his job because he had a motorcycle accident riding around with a student, I think, assistant. And that press conference was one of the saddest things I've ever seen. Jesus. But the brilliant people who run our institutions of higher education think that impressionable young men probably should be coached again by Bobby Petrino. Only in the NCAA. Danny feels Alabama was embarrassed last year, which they were, and won't step off the gas this weekend. No lie, I see 47-17 Bama. I can't see how that could possibly be the score. Vanderbilt's better than them at the most important position on the field. Ty Simpson is not any good. I mean, he's not horrible. He's better than me. He's got that going for him. I said this on the Unprofessional Professional Sports Show at 6. It struck me after last week. He had a good first half against Georgia, and they didn't score any points in the second half. Don't forget, and that's not a really good Georgia defense. It's not your defense from 2020, 2021, 2022. Neither is the offense, by the way. But that's not a great Georgia defense. They were shut out in the second half. Ty Simpson is a 5th-year senior who is just getting his first chance to play. Now, think about the logistics of that, the logic of that, and the logistics. In today's transfer portal world, you are not a 5th-year senior and get your first real playing time unless you're not that good. If he was any good, he'd be in a different program by now. I'm just telling you, Vanderbilt keeps this game close at a minimum and has a chance to win it in the closing minutes of this game, and may win it. I believe I'm onto something. Oh, Danny's onto something. Look, revenge games are wonderful, as long as you have the talent to back it up. The funniest thing is, I think it was that very same day on game day, Nick Saban said, there are no easy road games in the SEC except Vanderbilt. I won't swear to it, but I think it was the same day that Alabama went to Vanderbilt and got beat. And Clark Lee's done a great job there. There's no way, if you're a football fan or a fan of the people you will want coaching your kids, that you would ever root against a Clark Lee. And I get it. I know you're not rooting against Clark Lee, Danny, but I'm just saying. I want to see them get that. Yes, I didn't mention that. Yankees are up 3-2. I know it's not college football. The Wisconsin Quacks, Red Sox losing. Sorry, Paul Spada. Paul Spada, I'm sorry. Well, it's now 3-3. That ball's still going, by the way. So it's 3-3 now. East Potomac State for Billy Napier. He's got Billy Napier's got. I didn't jot down their game this week either. What do they have this week? We got to go through the standings too. God, they're so ugly. Who's Florida got? Don't they have a top 10 team? Let's go to the SEC. Billy Napier. I just talked about where are they? SEC. I just talked about Oklahoma's schedule, and it is a gauntlet. Alan, you have to agree that's a gauntlet they have to run. Florida's got Texas this week. And after that, they got Texas A&M, Mississippi State, again, probably the most improved team in the SEC, if not the country. Georgia, maybe that game doesn't look as bad as it was a week ago, but they're still 12th in the country. At Kentucky, not an easy place to play. Ole Miss, Tennessee, Florida State. The question is, does Billy Napier make it to Florida State? They have a bye after the Mississippi State game, I believe, if I'm doing my math right in my head, 11-18. If my guess is if Billy Napier gets fired, it's going to be after the Mississippi State game. We'll see. Petrino needs to get tested as much as AC, apparently. Oh, Miss looking good. Listen, this is my only gripe with the poll this week. Well, let's look at the poll real quick, shall we? One of my big gripes as I go through this, I'll touch on it. So number one stays Ohio State, as should be. Sorry, Michigan fans. Sorry, Oregon fans. Why does this thing keep popping up on me? With 46 first place votes, Oregon gets 16 first place votes. They jump over Idle Miami, which I'm okay with. Because it's just not that important who's 1, 2, or 3, 4, or 5. It's not. Just get in the playoff. Maybe the first 4 spots are important because you're going to get a bye. So I'm all good with that. And I'm not even necessarily got a problem with Ole Miss jumping 9 spots. But if you're telling me Mississippi is good enough to jump 9 spots and they're the 4th best team in the country, that means LSU, who was number 4, just lost to who's really the best of the 4th team in the country. How do they drop 9 spots? When Penn State, who's 3, loses to 6 and drops only 4 spots. And LSU's, but with that said, LSU's got some issues on offense. If you're only scoring 17 points or whatever they got against Ole Miss's defense, although they played better the last 2 weeks, that's not good. Oklahoma's 5. I keep getting this pop up, which is driving me nuts. Where was I? Texas A&M moves up 3 spots to 6. Penn State, as I said, drops 4 to 7. Indiana up 3. A very uninspired victory at Iowa. I'm not sure should be jumping 3 spots here either, but they're a very good team. They're 8th in the country. Texas was off. Were they off, I think, last week? Up 1. Alabama moves up 7 after that big victory over Georgia, and Georgia drops 7. Alabama's 10, Georgia's 12. Texas A&M right in between them at 11. LSU, as I mentioned, dropped all the way to 13. Iowa State and Tennessee stay in place at 14 and 15. Georgia Tech down 1, struggle last week, but Georgia Tech still 5-0. Florida State with a bad loss at a much improved Virginia team who moved into the top 25. They drop 10 spots to number 18. They get the Hurricanes. Where's my? Can I get it over there? How about I go this way? They get the Hurricanes this Saturday night. Missouri continues to play pretty good football in the SEC, still undefeated at 5-0. They move up 1 spot to 19. Michigan drops a spot. Believe they were on a bye. Notre Dame up 1 with an impressive win last week. Again, I still say if Notre Dame runs the table, they're in the playoff. Illinois moves up 1 after beating USC and knocking them out of the top 25. Good rebound for Illinois. BYU up 2 to 23. Virginia gets in the poll after being out. Arizona back in the poll after being out for a week. And USC and TCU fall out of the poll. Just falling short, South Florida, Utah, Mississippi State. Memphis playing really good. Alan talked about the group of 5 contenders. Most of them are in the most of them are in the American, but you can't count out. I mean, you can't count out teams in the Mountain West. You can't count out even James Mason in my mind. Some interesting matchups too this week. Navy's going to have Air Force and Navy play this week, and Army will play UAB to get the military picks in there. We like to certainly talk about our good friends who are serving and protecting this country. George O'Leary lied on his application at Notre Dame, and he would be hired today, probably. I mean, it was a little white lie. Wasn't he said he was like a graduate coach at New Hampshire or someplace? George O'Leary is a good football coach. Had coached Georgia Tech before that. I think he coached, I want to say George O'Leary either went to Florida Atlantic or UCF. I can't remember which one. Yeah, and I'm a Lane Kiffin fan as well, John. Lane always wins the press conference. If you haven't checked it out, there's a very good, I don't think it's a 30 for 30. I think it's their E60 series, ESPN. If you have ESPN Plus, you can watch it. There's a great profile on Lane Kiffin. Check it out. Lane Kiffin fans will love it. Lane Kiffin haters will hate it. Speaking of Lane Kiffin and the SEC, a lot of chatter about Paul Feinbaum, everybody's favorite blowhard, leaving ESPN / the SEC network and running for Senate. Tommy, if you don't know, Tommy Tuberville, former Auburn and Texas Tech coach, Cincinnati coach, is the senator from Alabama, and he is going to be leaving that seat to run for governor of Alabama. And a lot of chatter about Bruce Pearl, who just resigned as the Auburn basketball coach, was interested in that seat. And that's kind of cool. Apparently he's not going to attempt that, but a lot of rumors that Paul Feinbaum will be. Interesting. I know. I beat you to it. Yankees in trouble. Well, blame Boone. Tune in Thursday. Tune in Friday at 3:00, John, because if they lose this series, I'm going to go nuclear on Aaron Boone. I'm telling you right now. Well, now your favorite admin, Danny, is a Lane Kiffin fan. Do you want to put yourself in the same predicament I put myself in with Mr. Gonzalez. Rankings become as much of a joke as MLB umpires calling balls and strikes. Unfortunately, but the problem, you're not wrong, Michael. And we use the AP votes until the first playoff committee rankings come out, which is, I think, first week in November or something like that. But they matter. Now they matter. I mean, 4 or 5 games have been played. And these rankings will matter because if you're, 25th in the country like Arizona State and you don't win your conference, you're not getting a chance. Even if you go, if they went 11-1, I guess they'd be in the conference championship at least. But they're undefeated in conference. Maybe that's not the best example, but you know what I'm saying. And it's even more so important for the group of 5 teams who are looking to get that automatic bid. They have to be the highest ranked team. Now, these rankings won't always match up or may not match up at all. I mean, I'm getting pop-ups something crazy lately on this. This is my old work computer. I'm going to have to see what's going on here. Michael Dighton Edwards, spot on, agreed. They're a necessary evil. That's a problem. And quite frankly, I mean, I don't know why, but I still long for the old days because, again, I'm old and I'm yelling at kids to get off my porch right and left, right? I long for the days. I'm okay with the polls decided the national championship. I didn't care because I didn't know what I didn't know. Maybe I don't know, but this has become so much about money and conferences demanding that they get X amount of automatic bids. If you're not gonna take the playoff format that I am a proponent of. I didn't come up with this idea, Basement Bob, so don't be thinking you're going to try to sue me again, okay? But again, take all the champions. I want to see a tournament of champions. I don't give a crap that they played in Conference USA. Put them in there. They get shellacked, they get shellacked. I want to see 5 teams play from the SEC and 5 teams play from the Big Ten, which is what they're trying to get to. Lane just missed the plane out of Arizona and went at South Carolina. Oh, went at SC. A lot of good stuff about that in that profile I talked about on ESPN. Check it out. You say what you want about Lane Kiffin. The man can coach offense. His quarterback it became the first quarterback in the SEC in 30 years to go 3 straight games with 300 yards passing and 50 yards rushing or something like that. Tim Tebow never did that. Good stuff. Let me look at 751. Let's look at the pool standings. Sorry, guys. It's a necessary evil. And then I'll give you my picks from the pool. Then we'll look at some other games from this week and some other news around. You guys can feel free to put up your put a few comments up that we can catch up on when we're done here. Here's the results from last week. Again, not pretty. The leading vote getters or the leading winner, the leading pickers were Michael Dighton Edwards with 6, generic ESPN fan with 6, with 5 was Rick Sherlock, Paul, excuse me. Alan Perales had 5 as well. Scott Kobe, who mocked us all and got in the pool and has gone 3, 4, and 5 his first 3 weeks in. I hope you're here, Scott. Speak up. Beamer Ball had 4. Danny had 4. J Train had 4. I had 3. If you ain't cheating, had 2. I think that's Brian. So for the season, Allen has moved into first place with 28, right? Beamer Ball, who's Neil Bush, is at 27. Michael is at 26. J Train is at 26. Rick's at 24. Danny's at 24. TGI Sports Talk is at 24. Paul's at 23. So is the You Ain't Cheating is at 23. The generic fan is at 210, and the others aren't really playing from the looks of it. So we won't worry about their picks. Here's my picks for the 10 games that ESPN has given us to play this week. Iowa State ranked 14th in the country, 5-0. Matt Campbell's name up again for a big job. But is Arkansas a better job than Iowa State at this point? The answer is probably yes, but I don't think he's taken Arkansas when he's, again, hasn't taken some other jobs. Cincinnati's a sneaky 3-1, but I like the Cyclones on the road here. Baylor 3-2 against Kansas State. They have got their second win now, but they have been one of the biggest disappointments of this early college football season. I'll take Baylor at home. I'm going to take I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Vanderbilt to beat Alabama outright. I just think they're better quarterback. I think their offensive line is better. I think they're better in a lot of places than Alabama is. Alabama's good. They're better than they were against Florida State. I like Vanderbilt here. I'll go against the grain. Texas is going to go in and thump Billy Napier and get him one step closer to that job that Michael Dighton Edwards has picked out for him. Very interesting game. And number 24, Virginia, off a big win against Florida State, is going to go to Louisville, who's 4-0. Got to take the Cardinals at home here. Washington 3-1. Didn't get blown off the field against Ohio State at home. Washington, a tough place to play. They got to go to surprising Maryland, cross the country. What time is this game played, guys? This is very important to me. What time is this game played? Big Ten. 3:30 times start. Not really that bad then, but I'm still going to take Maryland at home to beat the Huskies. UNLV will travel to Wyoming. I like the Rebels in this game. 4-0. Another team from that Mountain West that's got a real chance at the Group of Five nod. The Hurricanes. With the national TV audience at 7:30, travel to Florida State, number 18. That's number 3 for Miami. This has been a kind of game Miami has not really fared well with over the last 10 years, or maybe 25 years. But I'm going to take Miami on the road to beat the Seminoles. I think we saw last week that Alabama's not as bad as they looked against Florida State. Florida State is not as good as they looked against Alabama. Kansas will go to UCF. I like UCF in this game. But I think if I'm going to bet this game, and it's a possibility I will, it'll be the over. Excuse me. Duke has got to make the trip from North Carolina to Cal. I like Cal in this game. Duke did surprise me last week and really kicking Syracuse's butt in the Carrier Dome. I think it's going to be a tough travel week for Duke. I like Cal in this game. So there's my picks in the pool. You guys can make yours, and Sunday we'll take a look at the results. Where are we at? I got to figure out where we are here. I guess I only missed one. No, I guess I didn't miss. Did I miss any? Watch that 2020 for Lane. Great stuff. It was good stuff, right? I thought it was fairly balanced reporting. I mean, Lane never should have left Tennessee. I think that was his biggest downfall, right? If he'd stayed at Tennessee, he isn't there for the dismantling of the USC dynasty. He doesn't take the Raider job, which was a complete disaster for him and the Raiders. And he doesn't need to rehabilitate maybe his reputation, and maybe he becomes the youngest coach ever to win a national championship. I know I'm exaggerating, but I think Lane Kiffin, if he had his druthers, I think he'd go back and not leave that job. Everyone knows that Keith take Alabama. Keith won't hedge on his bets. LOL. I don't like to hedge my bets, no. And there's no reason to. There's no money involved here on this pick. Not a hedger, man. I'm all in. Comes from I play poker the same way, man. I got the gas pedal down all the time. A little different. Also feel like it's bad juju, bad karma to hedge your bets. Did I read that right, by the way? Everyone knows Keith take Alabama and hedge, and Keith won't hedge his bets. I won't. And that's probably more, quite frankly, I'll be honest with you about my Alabama, because I like Alabama and I picked them to make the playoff, right? Losing this game probably does not help them in that regard. It'd be their first conference loss, and I do think there's going to be an SE team and maybe a Big Ten team that gets in the playoff with 3 losses. We'll have a better read on that, obviously, in a couple of weeks, but these leagues are going to cannibalize themselves. We've talked about it over and over again. But I just find it hard to root against Clark Lee. I really do. So, what other news do we have? Let's take a quick look around the conferences just to see if there's anything. We're starting to get into league play. There's still, like in the American, Navy's played 3 league games. They're 3-0. You got to win your league. If you want that group of 5 bid, you got to win your league. Nobody else who's of any consequence has played more than 1 game. Memphis 1-0. Texas, North Texas is 1-0. Tulane's 1-0. In the ACC, you got 3 teams at the top: Georgia Tech, Virginia, and Duke at 2-0. I mean, Miami's only played 1 conference game. Actually, Miami hasn't played a conference game until this week. Neither is North Carolina, neither is SMU. So we're starting to get into it a little bit. The Big 12, you got Iowa State and Arizona at 2-0. Arizona State, sorry. Arizona is not any good. And BYU, by the way, speaking of Janae's BYU Cougars, they're 1-0. The Big 10, Indiana, Oregon, both 2-0. Maryland's 1-0. Rutgers 0-2 already. West Virginia 0-2. Clemson 0-2 in the ACC. Conference USA, Louisiana Tech and Western Kentucky out to 2-0 starts. Forget about the independents. They all stink. UConn's 3-2. Jim Moore has really done, all in all, a pretty good job there. The Mid-American Conference, they've only played 1 game. The Mountain West, the leaders are 1-0. The Pac-12, it's all of 2 teams who are just god-awful, by the way. It's going to be embarrassing when we have a new Pac-12 next year and the original Pac-12 teams are not even going to be competitive. Things don't change. In the Southwest Conference, Mississippi with a commanding 3-0 lead, a 3-0 record. But everybody else, most of everybody else has one game in hand. Georgia is 1-1. LSU is 1-1. Who's 0-2? Auburn's 0-2, despite not playing bad football. Who hasn't played? Texas has yet to play a league game until this week. And in the Sun Belt, James Madison, don't count them out of the race for this group of 5 playoff bid. Still, I think the last conference to have divisions is the Sun Belt. They lead the East at 1-0, and then UNL, Monroe, Southern Miss, Louisiana, all 1-0 there as well. Oops, sorry, Michael. Hang on, I'll get right back to that. Michael, have a good one. Good to see you. Michael does this. He says he's leaving, and then I'll see he'll be back. By the way, at 8:30, I'll be on with Robert Butler on Sports Scopes. We'll talk some college football. We'll probably talk how disgruntled I am with Aaron Boone and the Yankees. So pop in there if you want. It's hard for me to share that, so you got to go just search Facebook for Sports Scope, SKOPE, Sports Scope, or maybe search out Robert Butler, Sports Scopes. Danny's had 3, 4, and 5 team pars alive with a late game and taking the opposite and won many other times. Well, that's different. If you're betting parlays and such, I don't bet parlays. I'm not a parlay bettor. I've never liked the odds are great when you win, but I've just never been a parlay bettor. I bet individual games, so there's really no hedging to do. The only place there'd be an opportunity for me to hedge is on future bets. Like last year, I had that Notre Dame bet that was worth $7,500 in a national championship game. It only cost me $100, I think, to make the bet because it's from freebies. I could have hedged that bet and bet, whatever, 3,000 or something on, Ohio State, but that's not me. And won many times. The hedge this year there you go. So, 7,500, so close enough. Just not a hedger. I want the big payday all time. Which is why I'm sitting here, not in Vegas. But you're right. Listen, I'm not going to say you're wrong. Just personal preference. I want to get into the games this week. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any other big news here. Lane Kiffin's talking about dynasties being over for the bigger new SEC, and I think that's true. I think you saw last week, and Rick Sherlock, I apologize. This is not a shot at you. I root for Georgia. I don't root against Georgia, I should say. But I think the years of, and I agree with Lane in this case for a lot of reasons, NIL, transfer portals. You're seeing it with Georgia as they've done kind of a slow descent here the last couple of years. Yes, they won the SEC last year, but again, they've lost. They're 4-3 in their last 7 games against power conferences. Power conference teams. It's just very hard. They still have top 2 or 3 recruiting classes. They fill the holes like everybody else with the transfer portal, but they lose so much top talent every year. You can't continue to replace that pipeline year after year after year after year. It's impossible. And again, it shouldn't be expected. And the GOAT of college football coaches, Nick Saban, really caused this ripple effect that you're not successful unless you're competing for a championship and winning championships yearly or bi-yearly, or at least competing every single year. And he did that. But that won't happen again. I can't think of a situation in this country, a program in this country that is going to be competitive and compete for championships over a 15 or 20-year period, year after year. That stuff is gone. Maybe even the shorter dynasties like Georgia with Kirby Smart from where do you want to start it? 19, 18 or 19? They finally won when they finally win? 19? Or 20, whatever. I think even those 4, 5, 6-year runs could be very hard to maintain now. So I don't disagree with Lane in that. Speaking of Pavea, who I know I have really spoke highly about and will continue to speak highly about until he falls on his face this week at Alabama. He had a great game against Alabama last week. There was some question about his eligibility, but the NCAA's Federal Appeals Panel dismissed the NCAA's eligibility case against Pavia, who's playing this season under preliminary injunction. This is it. So here we are. Vanderbilt's a great story, right? And the thing's being played under a cloud of, maybe they end up with no wins this year at some point. And I think it's whether he had used up his eligibility. And it gets very convoluted because of the whole COVID thing. He started playing at New Mexico Military Institute in 2020. The NCAA did not count that season toward eligibility because of the pandemic. He led that junior college to the 2021 championship, then played at New Mexico State in 22 and 23 before moving to Vanderbilt in 24, making the season his 6th overall, but only his 4th at Division I. They're going to tighten up these rules. The COVID thing is gone now. I think we're flushing through all of that extra eligibility that people had, where they 7, 8, and 9 years of college eligibility, for crying out loud. And the NCAA is going to put in a rule soon that is going to give you, I believe, 5 years to play for, which is very similar to what they had in place before COVID. What else? New Orleans is going to get the college football championship game in 2028. Iowa State, we just talked about, they lost a pair of their starting cornerbacks for the season. And Colorado gets fined, as they should, as they were up there playing BYU last week, and their fans were again, similar to the nonsense that went on at the Ryder Cup. They were chanting anti-Mormon chants. Just stop. I say this everywhere, and it doesn't matter what show I'm on, because I can talk about the same situation. If I'm on the college football huddle, if I'm on a show talking about professional sports, a show talking about all sports, fans have got to stop thinking that because they paid to get into a venue, they can do and say anything they want. You want to boo people? Boo people. Don't shout, defamatory. Don't get into their personal lives. Don't get into religion. Don't get into how they look. Don't get into any of that. Just, if you don't want to root for them, root for your team, first of all. That's how I watch games. I don't know about that's the way. And again, that's the way I was taught how to root for teams. Root for my team. I don't root for guys to get hurt. I never tried to get under, because you're not part of the action. This type of thing that went out with Colorado at BYU, unacceptable. The stuff that went out at Bethpage Black last weekend, unacceptable. Got that off my chest again. We're going to get into the games in a second. I want to look at one more. What's the college football the bubble watch right now look like? Notre Dame's solidly on that bubble. Indiana's probably in pretty good shape. So their stock is up. I think Notre Dame's stock is up. Stock down, Georgia. I think there's a very real possibility Georgia doesn't make the playoff, and maybe a very good possibility that Alabama and Georgia both don't make the playoff. Very real possibility. Oh, I didn't. I got the TV right next to me. It's a big screen. I just didn't see it because that is how focused, laser focused I am on you guys. Thank you for the update, Danny. Who got out of the jam? Rondon's got to be out of the game by now. The bubble watch game of the week. This is from The Athletic, is Miami at Florida State. If Miami beats Florida State, their college football odds are 95%, and Florida State's would be 5. If Florida State wins, Miami's still 82. Florida State jumps up to just 28. A lot of work to be done by Florida State after that tremendous upset. Vanderbilt at Alabama. If Alabama wins, their odds go up to 49%. Vanderbilt's would fall to 2%. If Vanderbilt wins, Alabama drops to 21 and Vanderbilt drops to 13. Boise State at Notre Dame. If Notre Dame wins, they're at 56%. That's pretty good already. Boise State, 8. If Boise State wins, their odds go to 25% and Notre Dame's falls to 10. I would say if Boise State wins this game, Notre Dame drops to 0. That's what I would say. With that said, the big games this weekend. Miami at Florida State, we've already talked about a lot. Miami's been really good. Carson Beck did not play great against Florida 2 weeks ago, but the defense was dominant. The run game was dominant. They can win a lot of ways in Miami. I really believe this is the most complete team that I've seen there in the last 20 years. Vandy at Alabama. We've already talked about this one. I really like the quarterback situation favorably in Vanderbilt's corner. I just think the offense of Vanderbilt is better than Alabama's. They don't play against each other, obviously. But I don't think Alabama's defense is that good. I'm not all excited about this win. Now, if they beat Vanderbilt at home and revenge last year's loss, more power to them. I picked them to make the playoff. Vandy, even in a win situation, still only 13%. Well, that's right, 13%. Is that what I said? I read that wrong. I'm sorry. Or maybe I didn't read that wrong. Did I read that wrong? 13%. Yeah. I think it's higher than that, though. But again, you got to look at, they're looking at the schedule probability the rest of the way out, right? So that's why you play the games. What other games interest me this week? Kentucky goes to Georgia. Georgia needs a rebound with a decisive victory. Kentucky's been up and down. They're better at home than they're on the road, but they're well coached and upset possibilities are always there. But I like Georgia. Texas at Florida. Billy Napier he's a dead man walking. I think Notre Dame beats up Boise State enough to keep the momentum going forward. Virginia's playing. Who's Virginia? Louisville. Tough place. I took Louisville in the pool or pick'em pool. We'll have to see. Texas Tech I like at Houston this week. Mississippi State's an interesting matchup against number 6 Texas A&M. Mississippi State's played much better. Clemson, who's been awful, goes to the even more awful North Carolina Tar Heels. Clemson should get healthy this week in Chapel Hill. I mentioned the military academies. Air Force will play Army. Air Force will play Navy, the first leg of the Armed Forces Trophy. Army gets UAB. That's a conference game. Navy is a interconference game. SMU has somebody I can't read. Michigan State, Nebraska. I'm still waiting for Nebraska to be able to find some way to get this thing going. I don't know what it's going to be, but so again, there's that. Those are the games I'm looking at. Oh, Syracuse, that is, by the way, playing SMU. Sorry, it just struck me. I did want to look at see what else is going on here. We got a few minutes, and again, I'll be on with Robert Butler at the bottom of the hour if you want to jump over there. Robert doesn't have it set. I don't think that I can share the show, so if he does, I'll try to do it. But in the past, I've not been able to do that with his broadcast setup. But again, Sports Scopes. If you want to see that conversation with Robert, we always have a good time with Robert. Best dressed man in podcasting. You dress like Robert Palmer in the old videos, you know. Just looking at some of the comments here from is Mississippi better than last year? That team ended up losing what? 4 games? 3 games. And they missed the playoff. Is that team better? Jackson Dart was the number 1 pick. But Trinidad Chambly has played tremendous. Or Chambliss, I'm not sure. I'll pronounce it the French way. He's a baller. As I mentioned, he's played really, really good football since he took over a couple of weeks ago. The defense was not good and giving up a bunch of points to Arkansas, but they played really good the last couple of weeks, including giving up only 17 to LSU. So I think this team's for real. Please share the link or never mind. Got it. Sports Goats. Not Sports Goats. Sports Scopes. Let me see if I can find it for you, Danny. Hold on. That's the wrong. I got the wrong. If you go to, let me see if I can find it. He's probably on live right now, actually. Well, I'm going to give it a YouTube link, I think. I can find that. See if I can find his... Oh, he's on Let's Talk Sports there. I'm not sure how to find him, quite frankly. But I'll tell you, it's Sports Scope. Here, look for this. Search this, Danny. I'll put it in the comments here. Hang on there, Ed. Don't go away. Putting a little thing in the comments for Danny. Sports Scope. Check that out. I think you can find it on YouTube. It's on Let's Talk Sports, I think, on YouTube. If you go there, you should be able to find it. He's still part of Let's Talk Sports Network. Ohio State's D is better than last year. Scary good. Listen, I agree. They went up to Washington, tough place to play. And Washington offense had been playing pretty well. And I think, what they give up? 9? They give up 9 in that game. Defense is really good. I think the offense might very well get better. I don't think they've asked Slayan to do a whole lot. Protect the football, not lose football games, right? But I think they'll probably ask him to do more as they go along. So take a look. Your team's the best team in the country right now until they aren't. I mean, what's Ohio State? We still got a few minutes. Let me take a look at Ohio State. I haven't looked at their record here or their schedule in a while, Ed. Let me give you my take on the rest of Ohio State's season. Minnesota this week's a win. At Illinois, I would have thought Illinois would have a chance to win that game until I watched Indiana demolish them. Wisconsin, Luke Fickell's probably going to lose his job. They're going to win that game. They'll beat Penn State. James Franklin now 4-21 against top 10 teams. It doesn't get worse than that. You know how you keep your job is when you got a $66 million buyout. Purdue, you won't lose. They're not going to lose. The only chance for a loss is at Michigan. Bryce Underwood will be better. What's his name? Bryce Underwood? I'm right? I was calling him Blair Underwood for the longest time. Nobody got the prize for the Sammy Maudlin reference, by the way. Yeah, they're going to go to Michigan undefeated. That'd be my guess. And here's the sports scope. That's I believe that's what you want to look for, Danny. Good. Hope you found it. 6 points. What's that? Oh, they gave up 6 to Washington. Good. But Washington's got a bad offense. And I think Jed Finch is doing a really good job in Washington. I think, again, remember, Jed Finch got there. They moved to the Big Ten from the Pac-12. Plus, he had to replace like 21 out of 22 or 20 out of 22 starters. They either followed Kalen DeBoer or they went to other schools, went to the NFL. That team that went to the national championship lost 20 or 21 of its starters. So that's a good win on the road for Wisconsin or for Ohio State. They're not going to lose a game. If Penn State beats them in the horseshoe, it's going to be the biggest upset this year. That might be a little hyperbole, but oh, what else is going on? What else you guys got? Throw it at me. Throw it at me. Is the Big 12 going to get more than one bid? I don't know. I think it's going to be very tough. I think it's going to be very tough. I don't think we really know with these power conferences until we see the way the Big Ten, and I don't think the Big Ten is going to cannibalize itself the way the SEC has a potential to do. I mean, Ole Miss is 3-0, but would anybody be shocked to see them lose 2 or 3 games in the conference? Probably not. Alabama's undefeated in the conference. Would anybody be surprised to see them lose 2 games? I would not. So when it comes to the ACC, and the ACC probably is now Miami, Florida State, and Georgia Tech, maybe the only schools even talk about there, they got a potential for a one-bid league. The Big 12, I think, probably has a better chance in the ACC, maybe. Especially if Florida State gets their second league loss to Miami this week. Well, maybe I shouldn't count out Virginia in the ACC. But the Big 12, Kansas State was the prohibitive favorite to win this conference. And again, they're going to start beating each other up. There's nobody that much better. Is Iowa State the highest ranked team? Texas Tech is the highest ranked team. And Iowa State's right there with them. I mean, are these teams going undefeated in the conference? I don't think they are. So they're going to have a 2-loss team get in, most likely. As the only undefeated teams in the conference right now are Iowa State at 5-0, BYU at 4-0. Houston at 4-0, but not playing that great football. I like Texas Tech to go down and beat Houston here. And Texas Tech, they're the only undefeated teams in that conference. Big Ten is deeper. I think the Big Ten is deep. Indiana, Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan. USC didn't play well last week, but I'm counting UCLA. Illinois. I'm going to give Nebraska the benefit of the doubt. Penn State. Maryland's playing really good football. That's 9 quality teams. Now, obviously, the top of that is much better than the middle and back of it. But those are 9 quality football teams as we speak today. And I didn't even mention Iowa. I didn't even mention Washington, which I think is going to be okay by the end of the year. How deep can I go in the SEC? Maybe just as deep, but I think the top of the Big Ten is going to beat up that middle to back end more than say the SEC. Ole Miss, Missouri, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, Alabama, Georgia, LSU, Tennessee, and Texas. South Carolina makes it 11, but all those teams could beat each other up. Ohio State's going undefeated, guys. At worst, they're going to lose to Michigan. It's going to be interesting to see that battle for second place in the Big Ten. I picked Oregon to win this conference. Sorry, Ed. But it's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of fun coming this weekend. Check me out on Sports Scopes here in just a minute with Robert Butler. I'll be back Friday with Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. And I'll be back on Friday with the MLB update. And if this Yankee game goes badly, it won't be pretty. Have a great weekend, guys. Or a great week. Bye-bye.